Matthew Eakin, an Australian climber, conquered the highest point of K2 all alone on July 23, 2022. This remarkable achievement came after a surge of 145 climbers crowded the upper slopes of K2 the day before. Unfortunately, things took a turn for the worse shortly after he reached the treacherous summit. K2, a mountain notorious for its lethality, according to legend, has always posed the ultimate challenge for the world's elite mountaineers, and has claimed the lives of many who dared to conquer it. The mountain towers steeply above the Karakoram Range, bordering Pakistan and China, and endures harsh weather conditions. In 2008, 11 individuals lost their lives attempting to scale K2, making it the deadliest year in the mountain's history. Since 1954, over 100 people have perished in their pursuit of conquering it. Ascending to the mountain's peak is not a feat for everyone. However, embarking on a journey to K2's base camp can provide an exhilarating expedition, even for those who opt not to climb the peaks. Climbers utilize the base camp as their headquarters, spending most of their time inside tents. In contrast to Everest, this area is inaccessible and devoid of human settlements. Consequently, there are no bathing facilities, tea houses, or any other creature comforts. Instead, you can only experience the mountain in its pristine state. If you wish to explore this untamed peak, you must bring everything you need, including tents, food, and all other necessary supplies. For a long time, people held a peculiar belief that women who reached the mountain's summit would either perish on their descent or within a few years. Wanda Rutkiewicz was the first woman to conquer the peak. She reached the summit a few minutes ahead of the French mountaineer Liliane Berard, but met her demise 6 years later in 1986 on another mountain named Kanchenjunga. Berard and her husband, Maurice Berard, ascended K2 but tragically lost their lives while descending. Similarly, British mountaineer Julie Tullis reached the summit but met her untimely demise during the descent. The same fate befell Alison Hargreaves. These incidents led many to believe in a curse specifically affecting female climbers on K2. However, subsequent evidence has debunked this notion. Women have successfully climbed K2, including the renowned Spanish mountaineer Edurne Pasaban, the first woman to summit all 8 of the world's highest peaks. K2 is considered the most challenging mountain globally due to its extremely high altitude and lack of oxygen. At the summit of K2, climbers have access to only 1/3 of the oxygen available at sea level. Only a small section of K2 loses its rounded shape. There is a brief stretch where the terrain levels out, but it remains the only respite along the route. Moreover, the mountain poses risks of avalanches and rockfalls. Beyond death zone, the weather becomes highly unpredictable. In recent years, there have been several instances where the severe weather on K2 prevented any successful ascents. Sergei Mingote, a 51-year-old climber with extensive experience in the Himalayas, had climbed 7 8,000-meter peaks without using supplemental oxygen. Among his notable achievements were successful ascents of Everest in 2001 and 2003, as well as Lhotse and Makalu. His climb on K2 was particularly significant due to the absence of oxygen support. This accomplishment is exceptionally demanding given the mountain's high altitude and reduced atmospheric pressure. The lack of oxygen can lead to severe altitude sickness, including symptoms like hypoxia, which can result in decreased physical and mental capabilities, unconsciousness, and even death. Nonetheless, Mingote's success demonstrated his extraordinary strength and resilience as a climber. On July 23, 2022, Mingote, together with a group of climbers, reached the summit of K2 and began their descent. Unfortunately, he slipped and fell approximately 600 meters, around 2,000 feet, during the descent. Despite the immediate efforts of his fellow climbers to reach him, his injuries from the fall were severe, and he tragically passed away. His death was a devastating event, not only for his fellow climbers and family, but also for the entire mountaineering community. Mingote was widely respected and admired for his remarkable achievements in high-altitude mountaineering. Despite the tragic loss of Mingote and others on K2, the mountain continues to attract climbers from all over the world. Every year, individuals attempt to conquer its treacherous slopes, driven by the allure of standing atop the world's second-highest peak and the immense challenge it presents. However, the harsh conditions, combined with the inherent risks of high-altitude mountaineering, serve as stark reminders of the danger and difficulty involved in reaching the summit of K2. It is crucial to emphasize that safety is of utmost importance in such endeavors. Prior experience, physical fitness, acclimatization, meticulous planning, and proper logistics are all critical factors for a successful and safe climb. Moreover, it is equally vital to respect the power of nature, understand the risks involved, and make informed decisions when embarking on an ascent of mountains like K2. The stories of those who have come before, whether they achieved their goals or met tragic ends, offer valuable lessons for future climbers and contribute to the somber yet rich history of mountaineering. These tragedies highlight the inherent risks of high-altitude mountaineering, but they also shed light on the resilience and strength of the human spirit. It is not uncommon for climbers who have witnessed or experienced such devastating events to return to the mountains. Some find solace and healing in the act of climbing itself, while others are motivated by a desire to honor their fallen comrades. This was the case for Tamara Lunger, who, despite the heartbreaking loss of her climbing partner, Sergei Mingote, made the courageous decision to continue her ascent of K2. It was a difficult choice, as she had to confront not only her grief and shock, but also the real and imminent dangers that awaited her on the mountain. Lunger joined forces with Juan Pablo Moore, who had also been climbing with Mingote before the tragic accident. Together, they embarked on the challenging task of scaling K2, demonstrating incredible strength, unity, and determination in the face of adversity. However, their journey was met with further obstacles. At a bottleneck section of K2, known for its steep and narrow path, an issue with an oxygen regulator forced one member of their party to turn back. This incident highlighted the technical challenges climbers encounter at high altitudes, where even the smallest equipment malfunction can have serious consequences. On February 5, 2021, the remaining climbers were preparing to reach the summit of K2 when they lost contact with their GPS devices. It was later presumed that they succumbed to the harsh, cold conditions prevailing in the region. Despite extensive search efforts aided by helicopters from the Pakistani army, the rescue operations were hindered by severe weather conditions. Eventually, the rescue mission was halted, and it was confirmed that Juan Pablo Moore and his companions had tragically lost their lives. The harsh and unforgiving conditions of K2 have been a harsh reality for climbers since the earliest attempts to conquer it. British surveyor T.G. Montgomery was the first to lay eyes on K2 in 1856 during the British Survey of India. At that time, the British were keen on determining the boundaries between China and Kashmir, due to concerns about the expanding Russian Empire. During the survey, each mountain in the Karakoram range, including K2, was assigned a letter K, followed by a number based on its elevation. However, K2, due to its remote location and lack of a widely accepted local name, retained the designation K2. Fritz Wiesner, a seasoned German climber who later moved to the United States in the 1930s, played a prominent role in K2's climbing history. His expertise greatly influenced the climbing scene in the United States. However, his expedition to K2 in 1939 ended in tragedy, underscoring the hazardous nature of mountaineering and the importance of meticulous planning and coordination within expedition teams. Yet amid the tragedies, K2 has also been a source of inspiration and greatness. This was evident in the historic winter ascent of K2 in 2021, a significant milestone in mountaineering. Prior to this achievement, K2 remained the only peak that had never been summited during the winter season. However, a team of 10 Nepalese Sherpas, renowned for their unparalleled mountaineering skills and resilience in high altitudes, reached the summit on January 16, 2021. In the end, climbing high-altitude mountains like K2 demands not only physical endurance but also immense mental strength. The stories of these climbers serve as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and a stark reminder of the perils involved in these high-risk pursuits. Yet despite the numerous tragedies, K2 continues to allure mountaineers worldwide, representing the pinnacle achievement and the ultimate test of human endurance and perseverance against the raw power of nature.